The moment my 6-year-old daughter, Lily, let out a scream of pure delight as she cannonballed into her little inflatable pool, you'd have thought we'd unleashed chaos on the neighborhood. I was halfway through a glass of lemonade, lounging in my creaky plastic lawn chair, when I spotted her, Margaret, the HOA president, charging down the sidewalk like she was on a mission to save the world. Her hair was pulled into a tight bun, her clipboard clutched like a weapon, and her lips were pressed so thin they could have cut glass. The water in the pool was still rippling when she let out a screech so loud it sent a neighbor's dog crashing into a birdbath. "This is an outrage," she shrieked, jabbing a finger at the kiddie pool like it was a biohazard. Lily, soaked and grinning, blinked in confusion. I blinked in disbelief. That's how it all started. Du La 15 pool from the store, one splash, and suddenly I was public enemy number one in the most overzealous HOA in suburban history. Margaret didn't wait for me to speak. She marched onto my lawn like she owned the place, waving her clipboard as if it were a court order. "Violation 3.2c of the HOA landscaping clause," she barked. "All yard features must align with community aesthetics." I asked how a pink, elephant-shaped kiddie pool broke any rules. Without missing a beat, she snapped. "It reflects sunlight. It's a hazard. Someone could go blind." I glanced at the pool filled with hose water and a couple of rubber ducks. Blindness seemed unlikely. But Margaret wasn't done. She flipped a page on her clipboard and added, "Standing water breeds mosquitoes. Are you trying to start a dengue fever epidemic?" By now, Lily was wrapped in a towel, clinging to my leg, her eyes wide with that gut-wrenching look of a kid who thinks she's done something wrong. I wanted to laugh at the absurdity, but Margaret's smugness made my blood boil. The next day I was summoned to an emergency HOA meeting at the community clubhouse. You'd think we were debating a nuclear crisis, not a toddler's pool. 5 board members sat like a jury, with Margaret in the center, arms crossed like she just caught me keying her car. "Mr. Carter," she began, "we're here to address your unauthorized water feature." I glanced around. 2 board members avoided eye contact. One, Dave, a retired plumber with a farmer's tan, gave me a small shrug. Margaret pressed on. "The pool disrupts the neighborhood's visual harmony and must be removed immediately." I asked for the bylaw in question. She slid over a page so highlighted it looked like a craft project. "Uniformity," she repeated. "We're a community, not a theme park." I tried reasoning. I pointed out it wasn't permanent, that other neighbors had tacky lawn gnomes or flags with puns like, "Let us turn up the beat." One board member snorted. Margaret didn't. She glared like I'd insulted her family. "That's tasteful," she said. That's when I realized this wasn't about rules, it was about control. She didn't like us having fun on her turf. Her vote carried the day 3-2. The pool was banned, effective immediately, with 24 hours to remove it or face Du La 100 daily fines. At home, I broke the news to Lily. She sat in the now empty pool, still in her swimsuit, a popsicle melting in her hand. "Are we in trouble?" she asked. I told her no, that Margaret was the one in trouble, not yet, but soon. She didn't get it, but she giggled when I said Margaret probably slept in a box labeled "No Fun Allowed." That night, staring at our long, flat backyard, an idea hit me so hard I nearly spilled my iced tea. If they could ban a pool, fine. But nothing stopped me from using the entire yard. Nothing stopped me from going bigger. The next morning, while Margaret was probably ironing her rulebook, I was in the garage sketching plans on a big piece of cardboard. A slip-hand slide, not just any slip and slide, but a legendary one. A twisting multi-section water ride that'd make water parks jealous. I wasn't just fighting back, I was building something so joyful it'd drive Margaret nuts every time she saw it. I measured the yard slope perfect for speed. I texted my brother, Jake, who used to do event rentals. He had leftover tarps from a canceled foam party. Free materials. I called friends for a hose splitter, some PVC connectors. I was crafting a rebellion out of rubber and water. By afternoon, I was laying out the blueprint in the grass. Margaret drove by, squinting at the tarp rolls. I waved. She didn't wave back, just scribbled in her notebook. Let her write. In a few days, this yard wouldn't be a violation, it'd be a splash-fueled revolution. Not just for Lily, but for every kid on the block. Every parent fed up with HOA nonsense. Every neighbor who'd gotten a citation for a too colorful mailbox. Margaret thought she'd won by banning a kiddie pool. She didn't know she just ignited my summer. The morning after the ban, I stood barefoot in the dew-soaked grass, sipping bad coffee, staring at my yard like a general planning a siege. Margaret may have scored a point with her fine print, but I wasn't retreating. I was building something unbannable, unfinable, unstoppable. Lily peeked out the window, confused by the growing pile of tarps and ropes, and I winked like I was cooking up a miracle. "Don't tell Margaret," I whispered loudly. She grinned like she'd been let in on a secret. By noon, the yard was a construction zone. Stakes in the ground, twine marking lines, tarps unrolled like I was building a racetrack for kids. Jake dropped off foam tubing and zip ties from an old project. "Sure you want to rile up the HOA again?" he asked, eyeing the setup. I told him I wasn't riling. I was dousing it in soap and sending it flying. He handed me a drill and said, "Make it fast." Neighbors' blinds twitched. A woman in yoga pants jogged by our driveway 3 times, not sweating, texting furiously. I waved. She waved back, hesitant, like she was reporting to Margaret's spy network. I could almost hear Margaret's voice. "He's up to something." She wasn't wrong. While she'd killed a kiddie pool, I'd found a loophole big enough to slide through. By day 2, the slide took shape. Stage 1, a foam-padded launch pad for safety. Stage 2, a curve, braced with inflatable tubes I taped together like a backyard engineer. Stage 3, a ramp into a small pool for a soft landing. It snaked behind the garage, out of sight from the street designed to drive Margaret crazy with curiosity. The less she could see, the more it'd bug her. On day 3, Margaret stormed over in full HOA clipboard sensible shoes. "This looks unauthorized," she declared, arms crossed. "Temporary yard enhancement," I corrected, tweaking the hose splitter. "Not permanent, not structural, no digging." I pulled out a laminated copy of the bylaws. No mention of water slides. It's recreational use of personal property. I even checked noise levels. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. She muttered about lawyers and left. I didn't care. The event was set. Wet in wild rebellion, one day only, bring a towel. I posted flyers, hit up local parent groups online, made an RSVP form. Within hours, 40 kids were signed up. Parents asked to bring siblings, cousins, neighbors. A food truck offered free popsicles for publicity. One dad wanted to add a dunk tank. I said yes so fast I nearly choked. The night before, I found a wrench by the water pump tubing disconnected. I'd been careful. I asked my niece, who'd been filming a time-lapse of the build, to check her footage. There it was, Steve, the HOA's compliance specialist, ex-cop with a buzz cut, sneaking into my yard at night, tampering with the pump. I was furious but thrilled. I had proof. I emailed the clip to the HOA board, printed stills, and added a security camera by the pump, plus floodlights. If Steve came back, he'd get a spotlight and Lily's speaker blaring Hakuna Matata. By Friday, the neighborhood buzzed. Kids biked by, parents texted. Lily checked the clock every 5 minutes. Even our grumpiest neighbor, Mr. Walsh, asked to bring a chair and a beer. I said yes if he didn't sue over getting wet. He laughed. The slide was ready, hoses coiled, towels stacked. Lily's "Welcome to Splashland" sign, covered in glitter, hung proudly on the gate. Margaret made her final move that morning, a yellow envelope in my mailbox, stamped with HOA authority. Inside, a cease and desist letter in a font that screamed desperation, accusing me of reckless slip-related active ties. I laughed, then posted it online. "Margaret's mad." Neighbors flooded the comments with emojis. Someone offered a cotton candy machine. A local reporter emailed, calling it a backyard revolt. This wasn't just an event, it was a movement. That afternoon, Steve rolled up in an HOA golf cart, clipboard in hand, measuring my gate like it was EVY Denke. Regulations, he grunted when I offered water. He photographed my hose, a chair, even a sprinkler head. I asked if he was solving a crime. He didn't laugh. Later, I noticed a new camera on the HOA clubhouse, angled at my yard. Margaret was watching. I pictured her zooming in, muttering, "Focus on the tarp." She'd gone full VUI lane. The night before the event, I found the pump off again, a valve shut, the same wrench nearby. My niece's new camera caught Steve, gloves on, sabotaging it. I sent the footage to the HOA, the newspaper, the community group. Comments exploded: trespassing, vandalism. One parent talked lawsuits. By morning, Steve's cart was abandoned outside the HOA office. Margaret was silent. I added a motion sensor to the pump that'd blast Circle of Life if triggered. No more games. Event day dawned like a holiday. By 10 a.m., my yard was a festival. The slide gleamed, foam buckets lined up, sprinklers sprayed. Lily, in goggles and a dolphin floaty, dubbed herself slide captain, bossing kids with a whistle. Jake manned the dunk tank where Mr. Walsh dared kids to soak him. Music blared, parents lounged, kids screamed. The first slider flew down, splashing the crowd. Cheers erupted. Lily danced. The rebellion was on. The vibe was electric. Neighbors who'd never spoken swapped towels, filmed each other's kids. The HOA's grip dissolved in laughter and soapsuds. Then, at noon, Margaret arrived, megaphone in one hand, clipboard in the other, flanked by 2 board members. "This VYOLAT's HOA rules," she bellowed. "Shut it down." Everyone froze. Then a kid with a water gun nailed her in the face. Gas, then cheers. "Let them slide," the crowd chanted. Margaret, dripping, stormed to the hose, slipped, and flew clipboard sailing, landing on a turtle floaty in the splash pool. "She beat Timmy's record," someone yelled. Laughter roared. Phones snapped pics. Margaret, soaked, fled, her megaphone fizzing. The party exploded after that. Parents slid, Mr. Walsh took a dunk to applause. Margaret called an emergency meeting on my lawn, dragging chairs over, demanding sanctions. The board president quit mid-rant, grabbed a soda, and joined us. Another member asked to add a dunk tank. A news van rolled up, filming Lily explaining how this was about fun and not mean people. Her quote went viral, paired with Margaret's turtle slide meme. By dusk, the yard was trashed, floaties, coolers, happy chaos. Lily slept in a chair, popsicle stick in hand. We'd won not just a party but a shift. Neighbors hugged, kids dreamed. Margaret's rules lost to joy. Days later, the neighborhood felt alive. Chats lingered, kids played louder. Margaret resigned, sold her house, and vanished. Doug, a laid-back dad, became HOA president, promising more fun, less clipboard. He legalized inflatables, proposed slide week, and asked me to rewrite the bylaws. I said yes, not for me but for Lily, for joy. Lily started Splash Rebels, a party rental gig. She designed a duck logo, bossed me around, saved for more foam noodles. Margaret's old house sold to a family with Waterloo Hawaiian triplets. The slide was stored, but its legend grew memes, stories, Mr. Walsh's dunk pick. The mailman rerouted to our street said it felt alive. He asked what's next. I didn't know, maybe a bigger slide, a taco truck. But one thing was sure, Margaret wouldn't be back. And my patchy, worn lawn? It was perfect, a battlefield where laughter won, clipboards drowned, and kids ruled. Sometimes revolutions don't need speeches, just hoses, floaties, and a splash that says freedom.